Welcome back to the Conversation Lab. I'm here with Jay and Jim.
That's my name.
Not David. So this is going to go great. I don't even remember what he usually says at the beginning.
This is your favorite podcast about our favorite games.
Except this one's only about one game. So
your favorite channel about our favorite games.
Yeah, that's right.
I was gonna say something about this episode seems a little less stanky, and when you said David wasn't here, I was like, oh yeah, that's what it is.
No,
it's just a little refreshing in the chat, so this is nice. Only nice comments on this one because of the lack of stank.
Yeah.
So how are you guys doing? How was your week?
Yeah, so we haven't really made that much content in the last week and a half because a lot of us have been super busy in our lives. So I have been just kind of like, I don't know, playing video games in my spare time.
Any like major ones that you've been rocking recently?
Escape from Tarkov.
Okay.
Yeah,
they always go back to that one.
Yeah, they had a new update come out, and when they do an update, they wipe everybody's account, and it just starts completely over from scratch. So it's like it's the best time to get in because then it's like a completely even playing field, and
that's cool.
Yeah, stuff to progress through and stuff. So yeah,
was like the first two times it happened, were you sad that you lost progress, or was it always just like this is exciting, was starting to get stale?
It's one of those things that it's really like the first time you hear that that's how the game works is like every 6 months they wipe everything. It's like, why would I want to play that? But I've been playing the game for like 4 years now. And after the first time it happened, I was like, I get it. I understand. Yeah. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like when they reset your ranks in any other game. It's like, you know, that's going to come. It's fine. And it's actually good. So
100%.
I think for the first time ever, I might have played the second most amount of Star Wars Unlimited this week. Mike, I still think you probably beat me.
Hang on.
But
can you, for the first time, you've played the second most amount of Star Wars?
Yeah,
is that what you just said?
That was intentional, but probably the accurate comment there. So I feel like you've probably still played more than me this week, but I think I've played more than Jay and David.
Yes, because I've only played like 3 games this week. I knew it's 30 minutes ago.
Against me.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. So to Star Wars Unlimited, we are maybe unsurprisingly not as much of planners as our usual host David is. So we did not come up with a podcast topic for this week because, when would we have done that?
Exactly.
In the middle of all those games? No shit.
That's not my style. That's not right. Jay's style.
So what we're doing instead is we asked our Discord for questions and some topic ideas, and we're just gonna cheat off their paper, basically. So we all brought the markers to the group project, and somehow it never got done. So you guys ready to run through some of these questions?
Let's do it.
All right. So the first question from Inception is, what are you most...
that's not his full name. What's his full name?
Sorry. Inception, trash, can't sell shoes.
Nope, just shoe.
Can't sell shoe. Okay. Not even a single shoe. That's so much worse.
Can't sell shoe.
All right. So what are we most excited about seeing in the 35 days until release? The remaining cards, I don't even know if it's 27 anymore. He said 27, but I feel like there's been a new card every hour. Seeing more showcase variants and showcase cards and variants, or more OP info or something else. What do you guys think?
It is kind of insane that we have like 230 out of like 250 cards right now.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We basically have the whole set at this point. Like, what can be in the last 20 cards that is like meta defining? You know what I mean?
I feel like FFG is going to listen to this and be like, just you wait.
Besides the last leader, obviously.
Yeah, last leader, for sure.
For me, though, that question is super easy. It's seeing more of the variants in the showcase cards.
Yeah, I think that's 100%. My answer too, dude. Yeah, I can't wait to see those.
Not even close.
You guys saw the Chewbacca?
Yeah, the Chewbacca looks sweet.
Looks awesome. It makes me very excited to see the rest.
Yeah.
I do like that it feels like you're like, okay, I'm looking into this scene even more so than what the other cards are doing. I think they did a really great job, at least from the ones that I've seen so far, that like paints the full picture, not just the character. Does really well.
Yeah. So, and the way that it's like laid out on the card too, with like the full art and the minimal like graphic design elements, looks really, really nice.
I think somebody mentioned even like it looked like they moved the boxes around to fit the artwork, and I was like, little details like that.
Yeah,
Well
super
done,
cool.
guys.
Very, very cool. I love the way that they're treating those. All right. Well, his next question is related to the last leader, which is if you could design the Palpatine leader that we expect to see next Friday, how would you?
Well, that's assuming it's Palpatine.
Exactly.
We don't know for sure if it's Palpatine.
Yeah.
But also, I would say something along the lines that when you resolve one of his dice, you could deal 2 damage.
Gross. No.
How would you actually translate that design from Destiny into this game?
It's a good question.
Because
Let's see.
I feel like it represented him sort of like force lightning people. That's not a word, right?
Maybe it's
Lightning,
like
but
on unit side, it's like when you attack, deal like 1 damage to adjacent units to the unit that you attacked.
That that'd be pretty wild. They haven't done adjacency and stuff yet, but that could be great, pretty crazy.
I was even wondering about like with that force lightning kind of idea of like all of your units gain like on attack deal damage to a unit kind of idea.
That's pretty spicy.
Which would be crazy. Don't get me wrong, but I was thinking about Bosk's like you play an event, deal 2 damage, like that kind of style where it's like every action it's a little bit more ping. But that or just he keeps coming back like every series it's another version of Palpatine.
he doesn't have an epic action, he just has an action. And then every time you flip him over on however many resources, you have to say somehow Palpatine has returned.
Yeah, exactly. If we're already shouting no every time we're trying to deal 7 damage, I think that's totally appropriate.
Yeah.
He has to be like a long con character, right? Like pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Like all of the thematic cards that existed in Destiny.
So a big thing in Magic the Gathering is this like group hug political kind of idea for you're just giving out nice little toys to everybody. Maybe he's just a politician and he's just like actually giving out nice things.
That would be more of like Senator
like Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah.
But what if it is?
True.
Oh, I guess we've seen art that hints at it being.
And this isn't like
art.
Clone Wars era either. This is
That's
like
true.
The Rebellion, so it's got to be.
That would be kind of cool though if like you give your opponent's units like a shield token or an experience token for some benefit to yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Be
like
kind of fun.
5 damage to your face, but you got a shield.
Right.
Yeah.
Hope you love it.
I would love that. That'd be awesome.
It's literally the like sweater you got from grandma for Christmas where you're just like, thanks, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
that's our crappy answer. So
That's a crappy answer.
We'll see.
Well,
when
back to the first question.
Next Friday.
I think I'm low-key more excited for just the rest of the set to be revealed. Like, I think I'm going to be more excited about the showcases eventually, but I've been so into deck building that it's like, just give me the set. Let me see it all so I can actually like think through these things. Cause every time I finally like settle on a deck list, they bring out a card. I'm like, okay, now I have to consider that. Thanks, Bendu. And then totally just redo everything.
Yep.
I was also going to say one of the best, like we played Keyforge a little bit, but I think one of the coolest mechanics that existed in Keyforge is the fact that your battle line mattered.
Right.
I would like to see that in more games.
Yeah.
Like being able to do splash damage or like taunt only protecting the creatures next to it.
Yeah, so it's left and right. Yeah.
Which
and like
would
when
make
you
sense
add a
in this
character,
game.
it's on the left or the right, and then like you can swap things around, and I think that's like interesting design space that most card games don't take advantage of.
Yeah.
I think because our leader's supposed to be kind of controlling both of the battle lines going on, that would make a lot of sense for like where you're actually positioned to feel more like a general than just simply like passive effects or technical.
And
effects.
with two arenas, it even like it doubles the complexity, or at least like the options there.
You can go full DJ mode over there,
Yeah. Turning the tables.
That's right.
Okay, this next question I'm going to save for last, so we'll get there when we get there. All right, Nerd Parker asks, how does one form a team for a TCG to grind? This is not a how do I make friends question, I promise. Yeah, sure. Let's answer that one first. How does one form a team for a TCG to grind?
That's a good question.
I don't know the answer to that actually, because I don't
most
know.
of it is like having friends and then getting them to do it, but you do also kind of just have to find the click of competitive play. Like usually if you're forming a team, you're a competitive team, not like
Mhm.
casual. So
Yeah.
you're going to be taking it super seriously. You're going to be getting team houses whenever you go to tournaments and going there 3 days early and just grinding for 3 days before the tournament kind of thing. You know what I mean? So just being active in the community, I think, and connecting with those people that have the same kind of ideas that you do and the same kind of like aspirations about the game is going to,
Mhm.
you're going to connect with those people, you're going to talk to them all the time, and then you'll end up meeting at one of the tournaments or conventions, and it'll just go from there.
Yeah. I
Good
think
answer.
similar to like just like guilds and other games kind of idea. It's like you guys want to be similar like intensity, and then just time, like availability is just what's so key. It's like if you can be realistic that you're only free on weekends, trying to find somebody that's looking to grind 7 days a week, you're just going to clash. And so even though it might feel like, oh, they're more intense, so I want that guy on my team, you're actually going to conflict probably more. You need to be helping each other out. I can't say I've been a like hard grinder on games like this though, so I'm definitely the like, just give me the best deck and I'll show up to a tournament and go a little over 500 typically. But yeah, those are the two things I'd be looking for.
Yeah, I guess you kind of just have to put yourself out there, right? And like Jay said, find those competitive players out there in the world. It's easier now than ever because of the internet. So you can create a team that's across the world. None of us live in the same city, and we somehow do this every week and more. So not that we're a competitive team, but yeah, I think just like figure out who the competitive players are, or who, like Jim said, the players who sort of want to take it as seriously as you want to take it, ideally like around your skill level. I mean, ideally better than you. Like the way that you get better at playing games is by playing against people that are better than you.
That's a hard
But
ask for me,
tricky.
though. So
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I think too, if specialization ever comes into play here, of like, if you have guys who are really good at like the control, like that's just the way their brain works. Some guys who are like, I go aggro, I go face, let me optimize every card in this deck to deal the most damage possible. That's where like you want differentiation of like, we're not all thinking on the same line. Like somewhat if it's good because you can kind of nitpick some card decisions, but as far as getting like a broad range, somebody's going to have to play that deck that like is going super like aggro to the face. If no one enjoys that, maybe not the best fit. Like trying to find someone who can utilize that well is good.
Yeah.
Awesome. All great advice from people who are not part of a competitive team. What is your favorite Star Wars video game moments now that the hater is gone?
That's a good question. And also spoilery if people haven't played some of these games. Mike, do you have any?
The only thing that I really came up with was in Jedi Fallen Order when you first go to Dathomir. I thought that was super cool, but I am biased towards Dathomir in general, so that's my answer.
Not a bad answer.
I'd be doing a disservice to even try to answer this question. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, what's the favorite? What's your favorite thing that you've done in Galaxy of Heroes?
Galaxy of Heroes.
Got my Phoenix Squad all to levels or 7 stars, and built out the Ghost and the Phantom, and
that counts.
Immediately lost to anybody who spent money on the game. So.
What's funny is my daughter has an Amazon Fire Kindle Kids tablet thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a Star Wars Rebels game on there that she loves now.
That's awesome.
And she's terrible at it. And it's like,
what's her answer?
It's way above her like skill level. But she still wants to play it. I'm like, play one of these little kiddie games because you can't play this yet. She's always trying to get me. I don't mind helping and stuff, but it's like you have to like use 2 fingers to control joysticks on the screen pretty much to be able to like do stuff.
Gotcha.
And it's like
that's hard for some adults like David.
Yeah. You're right. And she has a doll, an Ahsoka doll, like a stuffed animal, and she calls it Grandma. She has always called it Grandma.
That's funny.
So she was playing the game the other day, and she was running around, and she saw Ahsoka in the game, and I heard her talking about Grandma, gonna go see Grandma and all this stuff. I was just dying. I was like,
that's
oh
amazing.
my God.
That's so great.
It's because she has like white hair, I guess, so it looks like a grandma.
That's funny.
Anyway, I don't know my favorite Star Wars. Back in the day, Republic Commando, I thought was so sick. Like you could like the Wookiees that would run up and just like rip limbs off of the people. So that was cool. I don't know. I mean, the latest Last Survivor was really good. Like there's so many good parts of it, but when you meet up with that High Republic guy
Yeah.
And
So cool.
yeah, you do some
So sick.
crazy things, and you go to a specific place that's kind of like really. I can't spoil it for those who haven't played, but
Yeah. I also like my brain can only remember things within the past 3 hours and or things relatively recently. So I wasn't even thinking about like older games. And there are definitely
KOTOR.
moments from Knights of the Old Republic and the second one and the Old Republic MMO game
Mhm.
that like really stick out in my brain. But yeah, I mean, I haven't played those games in like 15 plus years. So
yeah,
I don't know
it's
if I
hard
count
to
those really.
remember. Like you remember this nostalgia, but you don't remember like what happened,
Yeah.
like specifically because it was so long
The
ago.
twist in KOTOR is one of the coolest moments in all of video gaming that I've experienced.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's hard not to say that as well. But all right, we're going long on this answer. Let's go to the next line. For those who aren't going to be able to get a full playset of everything, do you recommend focusing on a leader or an aspect or something else?
That's hard to say.
It's really tough. It depends on what kind of player you are, right?
Yeah.
They overlap so much too, because it's like if you're playing one green hero, yeah, it's not like in Flesh and Blood where you can get like one class.
Right.
It's like if you're playing green villain, it's like you can also play any of the colors.
Right.
So it's like you still got to get all the different colors if you want to play different colors. So it's like if you want to really dial in, it's like you have to pick a hero or a leader, and you have to pick a color for that leader.
Do you think there's enough like tribal synergy where it's worth like, hey, maybe just collect some rebels, or like maybe take some Imperials or troopers, or like
I think that goes more towards like archetype. Like, do you like playing more aggressive? Do you like playing more mid range? Do you like playing more control? And then figure out what decks fit within those archetypes that you enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably the approach that I would take if I wasn't going to have everything.
Yeah.
If I wasn't going to be buying boxes, this is what I would do. I would wait till the game comes out or play it on Tabletop Simulator right now. Play all the different types of decks, or Felt Table is like a great way to do this.
Yeah.
Play all the different types of decks and then decide what you want to play, and then just buy that deck.
Yeah.
It'll be way cheaper to buy those singles than it'll be to buy boxes.
Oh, for sure.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And
If you just want to play a deck, like buying boxes is the least efficient way to fill out your collection.
Right. Yeah. If you're not just chasing for the special cards and the full like fodder of all the commons you could ever want, like go draft probably be my first recommendation. Like it's still a little bit of chance, but like you can tailor it a little bit more to like what you enjoy. And it's like, okay, maybe you lose a draft, but you get your cards. Yeah.
It's the most fun way to build a collection.
In most games, I can't make any promises for every like local game store, but typically people who have like all of the commons just give them out at those kind of events. So as far as like starting up a collection goes, like go to a draft. Like you don't have to be perfect at it to like, hey, that card's a rare, that card's a legendary, just take them. Like it's okay. You can be that person.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's weird. This one feels like it's a little bit tougher to like totally nail down because we don't have any clue what the secondary market's going to look like yet. Once that comes out, we can probably give a little bit better like recommendations. And then just as we're deck building, just depends like how flexible those cards are. Like, do you really need this 3 cost compared to that 3 cost? Because right now I'd say yes. There's a big difference even between value and like how much does it synergize with your deck. Where in other games it doesn't matter as much. Like in Lorcana, the amount of vanilla 1 cost 2/2s that are out there just
they just spoiled some more.
Yeah, there's more.
They just spoiled more this set.
And they're good. And so that one's like just pick a couple up and you got them forever, you're happy. But this game so far at least feels like you need the cards that synergize in your deck because it's a 50 card deck. It's a little bit more streamlined. I can't, at least right now, recommend like just get a baseline of stuff. So
all right, next question. We've already answered this, I think, which is what are your guys' plans for how much product you're going to get when the game launches? So
1 case plus a 2-player set.
One case plus 2-player set, Jim?
I'm usually 2 boxes and the starter.
All right, sweet. 4 cases for me. What are some tips for players who want to drive traffic to their LGS for weeklies to fire? And these questions are from Gavin from Holocron Gaming, which...
And the last one was from Nerd Parker from SuDB.
Yeah,
this is a tough one. I mean, this could be an entire podcast episode by itself.
We did talk about this a lot on the last podcast episode that I did with David. So
okay,
I would say I would point people to that. if you want some good tips on how to build your local scene, because it's tough.
But the short version is like you have to fight for it, is what it comes down to.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's up to you.
It's work.
Yeah.
But it's worth it if you love the game.
Yeah.
Getting people to go anywhere is work.
Not even like getting people to do anything, even if they don't have to leave their house, is often work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, it's kind of up to you as part of the community, but it's also, I don't know, like how do you build that interest and make it so that people feel like they have to go that week? If anybody in the audience has any ideas or suggestions, hit us in the comments, because I think that stuff is always super valuable to people.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Next question from J Rod. Where is D House, and what is your speculation on what the last leader Palpatine will do? We already talked about the second part of that question. The first part of the question, where is D House? Pretty sure he's in Jim's basement.
he's dumpster diving somewhere.
Who is D House?
What is D House?
What is D House? Why?
Yeah, why is D House? All right. Next question from Lau, our good buddy Lau. Favorite revealed card up to this point? So we did talk about on a podcast maybe a month ago, each of our top 3-ish, give or take, favorite cards. Yeah. Jim, has that changed? What is your current favorite card revealed up to this point?
I don't think mine's changed. I don't remember what I said. I definitely said Cunning.
Yeah, probably.
And I did Boba Fett, I think, maybe.
Benthic was one of yours.
Oh yeah, Benthic for sure. And then the other one was the other Greedo, maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
It was a low cost red card, maybe. I don't know. Or Greedo. I don't remember.
What about you, Jim?
I think mine has changed. I'd probably say actually Green Darth Vader has been my favorite recently. Like
Card's
when he
awesome.
hits the field, it's just this feeling of dread that comes over you.
Feels real powerful.
But it's that perfect level of power where it's not like, okay, I just lost the game. Like overwhelming barrage to me, it just feels like I just lost. GG's, let's just scoop. Vader's like, I'm going to try, but we just up the difficulty quite a bit. And like, I love cards like in that power level.
Mm-hmm. I can appreciate that. What I think I said Millennium Falcon last time. That's still pretty close to my favorite card. I would say that or Luke Skywalker. I can't remember if Luke or Falcon was my favorite, but I love both those cards. So there's my answer. Sure. All right. From Cuban Hammer, which is a great Discord name. What are your thoughts on the most complicated and the easiest decks to play? I love this question. That's a great question.
I would say, interesting enough, I think the easiest is probably Hera.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Because you just don't have a ability.
You just curve out and true.
You just play stuff. Complicated would be between Thrawn, because you have to have the RAM to memorize what you revealed on the top of both players' decks as soon as you
I will never play Thrawn
for the rest of the turn.
I've got like 28 megabytes of RAM up here. So
I'm over here like, keep your hands away from my deck, you Thrawn players.
Yeah. You also have because Thrawn almost always wants to be able to go first.
Yep.
The start of the game, very much so, and throughout the game, because you want to be able to exhaust before they get to use whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the tax of deciding when to give certain things up and take initiative and give up the rest of your turn is going to be important. So he's pretty tough. I would also say Boba Fett is probably not super. Han and Boba Fett, they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like their lines of play might be a little complex to wrap your head around.
Yeah, Han's probably my answer there, because there's so many lines that you have available to you on any given turn because of his ability that it makes it very difficult to map out what the right thing to do is.
100%. And then you have to just figuring out how Han and Millennium Falcon work.
Yeah. There's some complexity there.
And you watch your opponent call Judge and you're like, I know how this works. Like, this is correct.
Are there any other like super easy decks other than Hera that you guys can think of?
Sabine's pretty easy, honestly.
I think
yes and no.
I think it can be. I think on the surface, it's like easy to understand what the game plan is, but I think it's sometimes hard to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
correctly.
I feel like with Sabine, there is not as much grace as you think there is for like misplays.
Yeah,
You have to play very, very tight. Every action that you
every single point of damage matters so much. and knowing when to use her ability or not, or claim early or not. Like there's a lot of nuance there. I think so. I actually taught 3 people how to play this past week. I was traveling and taught my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law's boyfriend. We actually played at like basically every day that we were at this Airbnb together. And in like well into the night, we played our own like kind of like janky version of multiplayer as well. It's just super fun. And they liked the game so much that I woke up one day and they were like already at the table playing it against each other, which is awesome.
That's so encouraging.
I felt very accomplished. And my sister-in-law, who doesn't typically play card games, she like really gravitated towards Leia and had a lot of fun playing Leia.
Sweet.
And she was pretty successful. So I think that's a pretty good deck to pick up for a new player. I had brought proxy decks that I had printed out like 2 or 3 months ago, so they were not updated, and it was a double green Leia, but it was still pretty fun for her. So
I actually would recommend like just building Hera first if you're looking for a deck to build early. Like all of the Spectres are pretty good.
This man and Hera.
That's all he ever talks about. But here's the deal. Hera.
The deck is so streamlined. All of the Spectres are pretty good in those colors when you have them anyway. And like it just is a good like testing point. So if you're trying to build a deck, if you can't beat Hera, just trash it. It's a bad deck. But it is like, I don't know. It's a double green version of Hera. So there's a couple cheeky plays with using Conversion Lab. But for the most part, it's just like play out the most like maximum efficiency that you can. So
you mentioned this before the podcast, and it's kind of funny because I think I actually agree that Hera is a good testing deck, not because of the reasons you're saying, but because I feel like Hera is going to be that one deck that's like, there are always going to be people that play it at a tournament because it's that like that dark horse deck that everybody like wants to play because they just throw all the Spectres in there and play it.
Because everyone unplayable said it was trash.
And it's not like the worst deck. So like if you can't beat that deck, if your decks can't beat that deck, and then you have to end up playing that dark horse in a tournament and you lose because it can't beat Hera, you're gonna feel bad. Yeah. So like you need to be able to beat it because it's gonna be there.
Yeah, agreed.
True.
And it is just the most streamlined. Turn 1 I do this, turn 2 I do this, turn 3 I do this, and you have a big board.
Turn 5 you ECL Zeb in
3 games in a row.
Kill two units.
And then you flip Hera and you lose.
That's
in
what
90% of games.
So Boss came down, Zeb came down, killed Boss, killed other
and Greedo.
And I still lost the series 2-1.
Game 2, you zabbed Bosk and then killed Greedo again, or vice versa. Game 3, guess what happened? Same thing.
The story writes itself.
All right, we're moving on to the next question from LP Panther. Could you guys explain your thought process when it comes to constructing your sideboard? The deck building primer was super helpful, and I would love to see how you go about that process for the sideboard.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
For this, I haven't really messed that much with sideboard for Star Wars Unlimited yet because there's not that much of a meta that exists.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's enough games being played to have a meta, and we don't know the full card pool or the game well enough to be able to do that yet. But having said that, we will eventually get to where we build sideboards, and there's kind of, I guess, just generic advice that we could give from other games. So if you're playing Sabine and you're struggling against Thrawn, then what cards would you throw in that feel like they're good against Thrawn? Something like that. I don't know.
You probably, the way that I would approach it would be to play the deck a bunch with no sideboard, and then figure out what matchups you feel strong in and feel weak in, and pinpoint the matchups you feel weak in and what cards feel the weakest, and then try and figure out what you would swap in for those weak cards in those matchups, and then figuring out the breakdown of like what cards you actually put in your sideboard and how many of each and what goes in, what comes out. That's all, I think, trial and error, and it's tough. It's kind of a like it definitely adds some complexity to like the organized play competitive sort of gaming process, especially for people who aren't used to it. But it can really help you like shore up those bad matchups and make them a little bit more winnable.
Yep.
Sideboarding in Flesh and Blood is one of the most complex things in any card game I've ever done.
And that one's weird because you can't change your deck. Like you only play, it's best of one.
Yeah, so you sideboard before.
you see what their hero is and that's it. And then from
Yeah.
there you sideboard based off what the hero is. So you have to come in with the plan of, you see the warrior, you have to put these in there. Where this one you can flex game to game, but still having that information of like, okay, when I see this combo, I see like double yellow Boba. Like, okay, we kind of know what they're doing. So still play out the game, take note of the cards that they're playing, of course. And then, yeah, you just want to make sure that like you know why each of those cards in your sideboard and like what their purpose serves.
Yes,
So,
like super easy example is like Wolf, for example, who when he enters play and when he attacks, your opponent can't heal their base for that turn. You might play that in your main deck, but as a sideboard card, it's something that you put in if your opponent is planning on healing a lot, right? So it's like you might not want that card in every matchup, but in the matchups where your opponent is going to be healing, it's like especially good. So I don't know. Looking for cards like that is nice. And I don't know. I don't know if there's too much else that we can add at this point, but I think it's a great idea for a future podcast episode once we have a bit more experience doing it.
A lot of it goes into like the construction of your deck too. So like if you have to, it's really weird because there's ratios that exist in your deck too. So it's like if a certain card is good, but you're not wanting to ever swap out the same cost card to put it in your deck, then you might be skewing your ratios in terms of like being able to curve out and stuff like that. So it's important to keep that kind of stuff in mind as well. Kind of having like a foundational. So one way I play sometimes with sideboards is like I have 40 cards that are always going to be in my deck, and then I have 20 cards, 10 that will sometimes be in, 10 that will sometimes be in, and kind of like rotate that way. But yeah, I don't know. It's complicated to explain. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I'm going to use the hair example. You guys can roll if you want to, but it's like that deck I built pretty quick, but it's not Sabine quick. It's never going to go that quick. And so the cards that I put in the sideboard for that are like, can this stall out long enough for me to get it? So I put in Colonel Yularen just because there's a decent amount of green in there, heal up a little bit. Frontline Shuttle, so I can just clear their board that much more efficiently with like stronger trades, and then Consortium Star Viper to be able to get that Restore 2 healing up a little bit more. So it's like took that matchup that's probably like a 10% chance for me to win normally to like maybe it goes up to 25-30. I'm not expecting to be favored in that matchup, but at least like gives me a fighting chance. Was kind of my thoughts for including those cards because I'm not faster than Sabine.
Yep, for sure. And that those ideas came from playing against that deck and trying to assess what would be good in that matchup versus other cards that you were already playing.
Also, if you're going to a tournament with the sideboard, write down a list of what you bring in and out against each leader.
Yeah, so you don't have to remember on the fly.
Right.
That RAM, you got to save that for Thrawn, not for remembering your sideboard.
Exactly. All right. We've got another question from Ray J. Probably a different Ray J. But what's your... No, maybe not. What's your speculation on cost to complete a standard playset, considering the average will be 3 legendary cards per booster box? It's a great question. Probably
tough
to get one of everything. It's so tough because I don't know how much the legendary, like standard legendaries, will be worth compared to the hyperspace and hyperspace foil legendaries. So it's really hard to say.
A safe bet would be like $500.
That's probably is that average
small,
for
honestly.
like a card game, you think?
I would say so.
Is that to get one copy of everything or like a playset of
No.
everything?
Playset.
I would say a playset.
Oh, I think it's gonna be more than that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Just the standard versions? No
Well,
hyperspace?
I mean, how many legendaries does it seem like there's going to be in the game? Obviously, there's not everything been revealed, but do we have like a
Good
rough breakdown?
question. Let me look.
It'll definitely be better to buy singles. You will probably be able to buy singles cheaper than what you can open
100%.
Oh, for sure.
a collection for. So I would like not even buy boxes. Like there will be people that buy enough boxes that you can buy a set of common, uncommon, rare for probably like $50 to $100 or something ridiculous, and then just buy all the legendaries singles.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I was not buying boxes, or if I just wanted to complete a playset and just save all my boxes for drafting. Yeah, just like find somebody who's selling a common uncommon playset, buy that for like $40-$50 and then fill out the rest.
Yeah,
with singles.
I still
And
feel
wait like
is way
3
small.
weeks after the game comes out to buy those singles.
Yeah.
Wait, be patient. Morkana, prime example.
Yeah.
Yeah. card values always spike the first like few days and then they race to the bottom. So you want to try and acquire them while they're in that downward trajectory.
Yeah.
All right.
Have they announced how many like showcase cards and like hyperspace cards they're gonna like?
Every card has a hyperspace card, and every leader has a showcase.
Gotcha. Wow, that's crazy that you could get an entire hyperspace playset.
Yep. Except the starter deck cards, you can only get the hyperspace variants through promos.
Okay, I'll find a guy.
Or the starter deck cards that are exclusive to the starter decks.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of a cool thing that like that's a great way to like have people be committed to showing up to local events though. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't find that as an issue. I mean, Magic has exclusive cards that come in commander decks that go for tons of money because commander decks are $50 pop.
Yeah. Well, and now there's not even actual like MSRP. You can just charge whatever you want for a commander deck, which is crazy to me.
Kind of nuts. The interesting thing about like the packs, the OP packs that they're giving out, the fact that those are booster packs are going to like bring people into the store more than it would otherwise. Because
for sure,
you get to go to draft and gamble, and then after you play the draft, you get to gamble on what you open. People love gambling, even if they don't want to admit it.
100%. Flesh and Blood does that with their gold foils. Like it's a random gold foil, and you can keep it sealed or you can open it.
That's part of the fun, dude.
Yeah.
But the moment you open it, it's like all value is just right down the drain.
Yeah. If it's a common,
you don't open it
instead of a legendary or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for the questions for today. But before we leave, David specifically wanted us to talk about the website and implications of the fact that there is a website that FFG is owning and operating around the game, talking about the kind of data that they can track with it and the types of features that we can. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Jay, this doesn't excite you?
Isn't David the one that talks about how he hates math? Now he's all data driven.
Well, now he doesn't have to do the math. Somebody else can do it.
That's right. He knows
the math is automatic.
Intuitively that a card is overpowered, but he wants somebody to say, we're going to admit that it's overpowered.
I do think there are some cool elements where like
there's cool elements if they exist, but do we think that the website is going to have all the stuff that he's speculating that could exist?
I don't know.
I think that turns to like what should be required for something
what should exist.
Yeah. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, I do want a hub of like, this is where I go for my Star Wars Unlimited news. So like for sure things more on like the meta and like the deck building aspect of that should no brainer be in there, but also like articles and things that are like talking about the game. And if there's an opportunity to find like, here's where your closest event is and the calendar for those things, like I think it has to be a place where it's like a one-stop shop of like, this is where you go to find out Star Wars Unlimited news. Because if you don't have something official, trying to explain the 5 different sites you have to go to keep track of all of that is just a nightmare.
Yeah, if I have to go to my Facebook page to figure out when my local events are, like,
what's the Facebook?
I'll do it, but I don't want to. I'd rather just go on the FFG, Star Wars Unlimited website and like even register for an event on the website would be cool. And I think Flesh and Blood does that, if I remember correctly.
Everything's on the website.
So I feel like that's sort of the baseline expectation of what it should be and how it should function. Extra things that I think would be really cool would be like leaderboards that are specific to a particular leader, which could potentially be tracked
like a living legend system or something.
Well, like who has the most points, tournament points playing as Sabine, for example, I think is a very cool metric to be able to see and do that for each leader potentially. I don't know if they're going to do that, but I would love to see that happen. I think that'd be super fun and kind of give people that sort of accolade to chase.
The more stuff like that they can do, the cooler, the better.
For sure. Yeah.
The spotlight page will be really cool. I think if they keep it updated, if it's not one of those things that's like,
they update it every like 6 months,
once a month, twice a year, we get an update on that spotlight page. If they update it like once a week, maybe even twice a week, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
It'll be cool if they have, like David was saying, data on the latest big tournaments. Obviously locals, that's probably not good to do, but if they post the deck list for top 8 of each of the regionals or whatever.
Mhm.
That'd be really cool to see. And then like data from regionals and galactic qualifiers and all that kind of crap. That would
Yeah.
be really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So Flesh and Blood, I know I bring up Flesh and Blood as much as Jim brings up Hera, but they'll do after a weekend of skirmishes or like after a weekend of Pro Tour qualifiers, Pro Quests, they'll post the results of all of that, like how many were won by this hero, how many were
Mm-hmm.
they'll do that. And
Yeah.
if they do that after like every weekend of whatever qualifier or store championship, whatever they call them, to see what heroes were winning and which one
That'd be awesome.
had the highest win rate, that'd be really cool to see.
Definitely. All right. I think we've talked about the website enough.
Yeah. Good question, D House.
Yeah.
Oh, the last question I didn't answer or that I didn't ask.
What do you miss most about me when I can't record with you?
Oh my gosh.
That's a very good question there, David.
I think clearly it's your hosting skills.
Mm-hmm. It's your ability to keep us on track and enough sass where I'm humbled, but like want to get back at you.
Just
your ability
optimal
to
amount of sass.
That's right.
Help me like get into the state of where I can go to sleep. Like as soon as we get done recording, I just crawl
It's just
in bed.
relaxing voice.
No, just because of how boring everything he says is. It just puts me right to sleep.
That's so sweet.
Wow.
This is like our
Does he call you every night before you go to bed?
Yeah, 100%. And he just talks. And it's like, I'm out
monologue.
in 2 minutes.
That's incredible.
Tell me about your day.
God, what has happened to this show?
We miss you, David.
All right. Well, clearly, David, you're required to be back for the next episode.
100%.
So we thank you for joining us on this episode. We apologize that we are woefully inadequate at keeping something on track. And I don't know. That's it.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.